Today I am recording a pre-recorded video that I'm going to upload days subsequent to this. Today is August. Okay, so today is August 28th, Saturday, and I'm going to try to record as many videos as possible within an hour or two. So if these are lower quality, now you know why. Now I'm going to be covering certain things that I wanted to cover before I leave the state. So because of that fact, I'm going to have to cover this interesting topic. And this interesting topic consists of the projected lifespan and health span of Joe Biden and Donald Trump before the election. Now, this was done a little bit before the most recent election. Obviously, it's been about less than a year since this has come out. This was September 2020. And ultimately, this is pretty interesting. But anyways, let's go ahead and cover this. So we're going to start off with the data. So with Joe Biden, we're obviously looking at his stuff that was released by his physician. We're looking at a lot of disease history facts, right? Okay. So first of all, we're starting with disease history. So in the past, Joe Biden has suffered a cerebral aneurysm in 1988. Okay, now keep in mind, I'm going to be talking about who will survive between these two, who's going to last longer, and what's going on with their status. Okay, so aneurysm in 1988, he got it fixed through surgery. He got a second aneurysm discovered at the same time that was developing or something. That got treated at the hospital, but it got complicated by post-operative hospitalization for deep vein thrombosis. So he was getting surgery for the second aneurysm, and then he had a complication with subsequent pulmonary embolism, treated with inferior vena cava filter and a short-term oral anticoagulant, and anticoagulation stopped when clots resolved and were attributed to immobilization from the intracranial hemorrhage. Subsequent testing revealed no innate hypercoagulability disorder. So basically, the complications were resolved with the second aneurysm, but it does go to show that these brain aneurysms almost killed him. So that's a very sus thing because this was 32 years ago. So we had a 46-year-old Joe Biden on near death from an aneurysm. So if he were to get an aneurysm again, he would 100% die, as far as I know. So again, that's always an outside possibility. He could die at any moment from an aneurysm, and that's a very bad thing insofar as that's very tragic for him. Obviously, he's an asshole, but again, let's be a little more civil, right? No, I'm just kidding. He has also been surgically treated for a benign prostatic hypertrophy, which and also he got a gallbladder removed in 2003, which is pretty normal. He also had a mild diverticulosis and a non-cancerous tubular adenoma, right, in 2008. So he's had a little bit of problems going forward. Not too bad over here though. Now he has some medications going on, which are Eliquis, Crestor, Nexium, Demistias, and Allergan. So he's got 5 different medications going on, which is not abnormal for people that age, but still not ideal. And if anything, John F. Kennedy was healthy, but he took a lot of medicines, a whole cocktail of pills every morning. But that's because he had severe back pain and a lot of other health issues that most people didn't know about. John F. Kennedy actually wore a back brace despite looking really healthy, and that was from his World War II injuries. Anyway, the medical records for Donald Trump are publicly available for 2018 and 19, so that's relatively recent. And we can see his disease history. So first of all, he has hypercholesterolemia, rosacea, and appendectomy. What is that? An appendectomy at 11 years old. I don't know what that is. And as of right now, he's taking rosuvastatin, which is Crestor, which is what Biden's taking. He's taking aspirin, which is normal. He's taking Propicea, I don't know what that is. Ivermectin cream, which is Solantra, I don't know what that is. And multivitamin, Centrum Silver, well, that's normal. So as you can see here, Donald Trump's taking aspirin, which we all know about. We all know about multivitamins. So he's taking 2 things that are normal as well as 3 things that are not normal. Whereas Joe Biden, from what I can tell, is taking 4 or 5 things that are not normal. Okay. So again, Joe Biden seems to be worse off in the medical part insofar as he had the aneurysm, which is a really bad threat going forward. Which honestly, I'd rather have a stroke than an aneurysm. I mean, the aneurysm, you could bleed out in your head, and that's very scary. So yeah, that's very bad. And so far, Donald Trump has had 1 operation, which is this appendectomy at 11, which I have no idea what that is. Probably not a big deal given the fact that he's lived normally over the last 70 years. 67 or whatever, however long ago that was. Now, what is interesting is a hypercholesterol problem. Now, that is a problem of him being fat, and so that is important to keep note of, okay? So if we move down over here, we can go down and read. So, executive summary. Donald Trump and Joe Biden come from families of extreme familial longevity, as in their families have lasted longer lifespan-wise than most families have. So, for example, both candidates have a higher than average possibility of surviving the next 4 years compared to other guys their own age. For example, Joe Biden has a 95.2% chance of surviving until 2024, and Donald Trump has a 90.3% chance. Okay, so they're both well above average for survivability odds. Okay, and this is due to they're having long family lifetimes, which is historically accurate. They have social economic factors, concluding that they have access to good health care, they have high income, and they're both highly educated as well as married, which are all good indicators for health. So both candidates are expected to live over 10 years more than the average man their own age. So if the average life expectancy for a white man is about 78 years old in America, you can expect both of them to live 10 years longer. Now, keep in mind, just because Joe Biden is projected to live past 82 does not mean that he's not going to turn into a vegetable before then. So, the lifespan is kind of misleading, because Ronald Reagan, for example, lived until 2004 at the age of 92 or 93, but he was effectively with Alzheimer's from 1994 to 2004. So the last 10 years of his life were irrelevant. He didn't really do anything of substance, and that's not his fault. He just became a vegetable over time. So even if Joe Biden were to live to 93, if he's going to be a vegetable for the second term, then, I mean, what's the problem? Like, what's the point of him being alive then? Okay. Now, Trump shares most of the family history of Joe Biden insofar as medical comparisons go, just that he has obesity and a sedentary lifestyle working against his good genetics. But his risk factors are significant but modifiable, which are different from Joe Biden's problems, which are not fixable. So, for example, Donald Trump, his main problem is high cholesterol, which is because he's fat. And whether that be severely overweight or a little bit obese, he could stand to lose about 30 pounds. And so because of that, he's artificially boosting his cholesterol in a way that's not good for him. Trump does face an elevated familial risk for late onset Alzheimer's disease, not early onset, obviously. Now, that was a main contributor to his dad dying. Fred Trump Sr. obviously died of pneumonia, as well as obviously Alzheimer's, and he died in his 90s. There is no available evidence that either candidate is facing a major cognitive function challenge either now or for the next 4 years. But Trump has a elevated sense of Alzheimer's, which I'm going to call bullshit on already, because obviously Joe Biden is in the early stages of dementia, in my opinion. So if anything, Joe Biden has early onset dementia, or not early onset, but he has the early stages of dementia, and in 4 years' time, he's probably going to be completely wasted. But who knows how that works? I mean, it depends on the person. So Biden's life expectancy estimate using a combined risk factor approach using all variables is 96.8 years. The average is 87. So his life expectancy is about 96 years, which is insane. So with that logic, he would live until the year 2038, which is insane. So that's another 17 years. Biden probability of surviving a 4-year term as president is 95%. Biden's probability of surviving to the age of 85, which would be more or less like the end of a second term, would be 66%. So that means, and that's without them factoring dementia, that means that the odds of Joe Biden lasting until his second term, 2028, would be probably under 50% in my estimate. But again, these are doctors, who knows? Using the same factors, Donald Trump's life estimate is 88.6 years. Trump's probability of surviving a second term as a president until 24 would have been 90.3%, so better than Biden's second term. So his probability of living to age 85 is 60%. So if you were to look at that, the odds are of Donald Trump surviving until 2024, where he can run for president again, is 90.3%. So odds are he will be around, and he doesn't have dementia yet, and he probably won't have it. Also, keep in mind, Trump's dad lived until I think he was 93. So if you go by that logic, Trump has probably all the time in the world, relatively speaking. He has another 15 years, 18 years. Now, if you look at Trump's probability of living to 85, which would be 2031, which would be after his second term already ends in like 2029, that's over 60%, obviously. So odds are both of them are still going to be around, just that the difference being that Joe Biden is probably demented. So that's going to kill him. Or not kill him, but, it's going to hamper him down. Okay, so let's move down. So these are the specific statistics. Date of birth, Joe Biden was born November of 1942. Trump was born June of 46. So by this, Biden is 3 years and 5 months older, or about 3.5 years older than Trump. So they've both been educated over 16 years. They both went to college. Biden's height is allegedly 5'11". Trump's height is allegedly 6'3". so that gives Trump an advantage, just the height mog. Blood pressure, it looks normal. They both don't smoke. They say Joe Biden's physical activity is moderate and vigorous, which is believable because you see him riding the bike, very slowly, very gay. But anyways, my grandfather rode a bike, so I mean that's kind of normal. And then you have obviously Joe Biden is in better shape insofar as he's more skinny than Donald Trump, and that's ideal. Obviously, that'll artificially boost your cholesterol. Now, if we look at the parents of these guys, Joe Biden's mother died at 92, which is very long. Complications from broken hip. So yeah, 92 years old, that's very old. And then if you look at Joe Biden's father, he is 86 years old, complications during heart surgery. So had he not had those complications, he probably could have lived another year or two. So if you give that into account, if you're lowballing it, Joe Biden could easily live another 10 years. Again, the dementia really throws a wrench into it, but we don't really know how fast that's developing in him and whether or not he's going to get diagnosed with that during his presidency. Probably not. They're going to hide that, but who knows? We look at Donald Trump's mother. She died at 88 from unknown reasons. So 88 is pretty good in terms of death. And then father lived until 93, and he had pneumonia and Alzheimer's. So if you put that into account, Donald Trump should be able to live until his mid-90s going off that logic. Now, he has two things weighing him down, which is the small chance that he'll get Alzheimer's, relatively soon. And that could also hamper him, similar to Biden. Or he could get his obesity could lower it. So, for example, if he were skinny and worked out or whatever, he could probably live until he's like 95. But if he's fat, then he might live till only like 88 or something. So he's holding himself back. So ideally, Donald Trump would lose weight. Now, I think he did lose weight compared to like the election season, but not enough, obviously. So, if he weighs like 220, 230 pounds, he's got to get down to like 190, ideally, maybe 200. Total cholesterol for Joe Biden is 126 deciliters, whereas Donald Trump's is 223. So this is an enormous difference. Donald Trump's cholesterol is about 100 points higher than Biden, so that's immense. So again, this cholesterol issue is going to get really bad. If Donald Trump were like 45, it wouldn't really matter if his cholesterol is high, but the fact that he doesn't have diabetes right now is pretty impressive. Honestly, his genetics are really good. But again, he's 75. He has to really, factor this in here. Now, triglycerides are pretty close. And so, again, HDL, I don't even know what that means. But if you look at this, ideally it would be under 60, but Trump has it at 67 and Biden has it at 36. That's not good. And then if you look at the LDL, and I don't even know what that is, but ultimately Trump's high risk, honestly. So high risk is over 130, Trump's at 143, and Biden's is at pretty much normal. So again, not good, not good. So Trump's blood is not good right now, but that's because he's fat. So that could be fixed. But again, he needs to actually fix that. So all of these are normal. Okay. Anyways, projected lifespan for these guys before the election. So Trump's level of obesity places him at risk of type 2 diabetes mellitus. He has no known risk for cancer, cognitive decline, or death during the next term. Trump could be long-lived in his familial exceptional longevity of his parents, both of whom reached advanced ages. But again, him being fat weighs him down, obviously. And Joe Biden is in excellent health for a 77-year-old American male. His primary medical impairment is non-valvular atrial fibrillation. This is commonly an age-associated arrhythmia. So he has some cracks into his heart, which is not good. And he has the history of aneurysm, which is really bad, and that's not good. But Donald Trump's overall health profile shows that he's been quite healthy over the years, but he is now aging at an accelerated pace. He has clear evidence on CT scans for subclinical CAD, the leading cause of mortality in the United States, which has been worsening in the recent decade. So again, he's pushing his genetic limits. So Trump is a lot healthier at the base level than Biden, but because of his diet and those problems, obviously they're killing him slowly, and that's seemingly a bad issue. Even if he's still fat, he'll live past 2028 in all likelihood. So given that, that's not the biggest problem he has, but definitely if he wants to live like another 10 years, he ought to definitely lose weight. And so if we keep going down, conclusion, if we lower the limit to so this is basically saying that both candidates are going to live past 24, which is very true. So anyways, that is all that I was going to show you. Basically, this is showing that they're both probably going to survive up until 24, which is the next election. Donald Trump is healthier than the average man his age, plus he's fat. So given that, if he loses the weight, he can fix a lot of his health issues and extend his lifespan from anywhere from 5 to 15 years. Whereas Joe Biden, on the other hand, doesn't have room for improvement really, and there's always the chance that he dies of an aneurysm suddenly, and that's a really bad thing for him. Also, his heart problems could get even worse, in which case he'll have to have surgery or something like that, and then that could complicate and he could die. And or also he has dementia, which these people don't mention. Obviously, the media and these people are going to try to cover for Joe, but yes, so that cognitive decline is going to get him unless it moves extremely slowly. But I mean, you've seen Joe in the last 2 years get worse and worse. So given that fact, I think Joe Biden, if he were to run for a second term, by the time he's in that campaign season in 23, 24, he's going to be appreciably worse than he is now, and that's going to be very bad optics. And so Joe Biden could honestly be kicking around longer than Donald Trump. Like, he could be alive in like 15 years from now and Trump could be dead. But Joe Biden, and most likely than not, will be, hydrated with a sponge and have IVs in him and, be completely brain dead. So again, I don't wish that on anybody really. But again, that's going to kill him eventually, health wise. So keep that in mind. So yes, Biden, hold on. Let me keep reading this. So, Trump is 6'3" with a weight of 244 pounds and a BMI of 30.1 in 2019. So as you see here, he's 244 pounds and 6'3". So if he were to go down to like 220, 200 flat, he would really just help himself out a big amount. So yes, he needs to get that BMI down by like 5 points. Okay, so yes, that's pretty important. And anything else that's in here is very just like nitpicky stuff, about a lot of medical stuff that I don't really know about. So I'm not going to bother reading that for you. So as I'm skimming this, comment down below who's going to live longer between the two of them. I personally think that Donald Trump will live longer than Joe Biden. And even if he doesn't, he's going to be he's going to be a functioning adult longer than Joe Biden. So Joe Biden, again, might be alive longer, but technically, I mean, Donald Trump is not going to get dementia. And if he does, it'll be after Biden succumbs to like the full effects. So again, not wishing death on anybody here. I'm just saying that both of them are probably going to live past 24, just that Joe Biden in his dementia is going to hurt him a lot, and Donald Trump and his obesity will kill him sooner than later if he doesn't get that under control. Anyways, guys, thank you for watching the video, and subscribe if you haven't. Anyways, bye.